Man, it looks like a storm is going to break out behind me, doesn't it?
Had that storm last night, man. Hurricane.
Did you send this up here, man?
What's that?
Did you send this thing up here?
What's me?
How you doing, Neil? You haven't been on in a couple weeks, huh?
Yeah, it's I gotta tell you, when you live in Florida, people visit. It's like, to get away from up north. And it just a little crazy living on the golf course. And my question tonight with the group is, how do you stay focused working from home after, look, when I had my business, I was successful, but I went to an office and I had like employees, I had to deal. It just gets crazy sometimes where I have so many distractions, and what do you do? It's like, I gotta stop being a pussy and start,
Well, I think it's important for you to recognize the patterns that are causing the distraction. Like, where did they start, right? Did they start on Facebook, or did they start on Jeff? Are we still here? Did I just lose my connection?
Oh, we got you.
I got you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened. I think the live maybe died, or okay. Are we still live on Facebook?
Still live on Facebook.
I'm trying to get to it right now. That's what I'm working on.
Hey, I love that guy.
What's up, Neil?
What's up?
People recognize that face over there, huh?
Nice.
Cool.
That's not Neil Patel. What the fuck?
So back to your question, Neil. There's a really good book called.
See, everyone hates Neil Patel, bro. What the fuck?
Hang on one second. Jeff, can you help out with the muting?
What's the book?
It's God, what was that called? I think it's called Focus. Let me see if I can find it on Amazon real quick. And then I just, I have similar problems staying focused with this stuff. Let me see. It's in my orders. I read it. I just got a Facebook advertisement for this company called Mind Valley that has specializations in this exact area. So I'll be diving into that. But I know that it's called Deep Work. That's right, by Cal Newport. So basically, that book talks about how we've gone through, as humans, we've gone through kind of like evolutions where it used to be we weren't doing at the same like level of intellectual work that we're doing now, and having divided focus was not as big a deal, right? But now, like, the world has shifted towards more intellectual work, and there's been a counterbalance at the same time. Holy cow! Can you guys hear that? It sounds like
last night.
You can't see what's going on. You're not allowed to give away the secrets of the universe. I'm going to get in trouble here. So, but what's also happened is there's never been more distractions. So the ones that are able now to find a way to focus have a greater advantage than almost any time in history, right? Because people are more distracted than they've ever been, and the work has shifted to such like intellectual work. So, in that book, he talks a lot about understanding your distraction patterns, right? Like, what causes it? For me, I've got to like turn my phone over upside down so I don't see it lighting up, right? Put my Skype off, turn off the Facebook Messenger so that I can really kind of get focused in on what it is. I think if you recognize your patterns, then, I mean, you're a problem solver, Neil. You'll figure it out, right? It's not, I think exactly what to do. It's just a question of, are you going to actually take the steps that have become like, you got to break that habit, right? Which it's comfortable now. We've got these like, we want to do what we know. And, like I used to like, every time I would eat, I'd be turning the TV on, right? I'm going to take a break from work. I'm going to go down and eat. And then I get sucked into a TV show, and I'm there for like 3 times as long as I thought. So I think that's a start. There's certainly a lot of resources out there. Is there anybody else on this call that maybe has dealt with this and kind of conquered this focus distraction issue?
I wouldn't say I've conquered it, Patrick, but I think the last couple of weeks were a great exercise in kind of like rolling with lots of distraction going on because I was on the road for the last couple of weeks in New York and kind of traveling by car and all of that. And so it took my focus away a lot of the time, but I was able to kind of like find those periods of time when I could go into like hyper-focus mode and get everything taken care of, and then just kind of being on the run and managing everything through my phone, like, emails and other messaging apps and whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I've been working from home and remotely for over a decade now, so I think that I've maybe built the muscle a little bit, but it's a work in progress, and I know that I could have been more productive, but I don't think that I fell like so far behind or way short, even though there were all these other cool things to do. Like, at the end of the day, I love what I do. So I'm able to carve off that time to focus and do it.
Right, absolutely. And I think there's definitely different personality types. I know, I've struggled with it to some extent, but I'm a very like self-motivated person. And I think that doesn't apply to everyone, right? Working from home is going to be harder for some people than others. This entire business that we built, not only the agency, but the software product, has come while we're working from home. And, I've got kind of like in my mind every day what I want to accomplish and where I want to go. I think this is going to pass in a couple minutes because it came out of nowhere. So
It's good emphasis.
There was a really good video. I've mentioned this a few times where Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about how he used to go to the gym and he would be at the gym for like 5 hours and he'd be smiling. He had a vision in his head of where he wanted to go. He wanted to be Mr. Olympia. He had these pictures all over the place. Man, I chose the wrong night to be outside here. So he had these pictures all over the place in his house of the different Mr. Olympias. And they're asking like, Arnold, why are you so happy after being in the gym for 5 hours? And the people that you were competing against, they look like they hate being there. And his answer was, every rep, every set I do, I'm one step closer to my vision. So I think getting really in tune with that when you're at home and you're doing the work and you're always kind of moving one step closer to your goal, for me is my motivation to just like, hey, I've got big plans on where I want to take this. So, I've had this conversation a lot with my wife, and I know that this isn't going to resonate. It certainly doesn't resonate with her, right? It's not going to resonate with everyone. But I think what is true is like when you take on ownership and you start a company, your job goes beyond whatever your skill set is. You're no longer just a technician, you're the entrepreneur, and your job as the entrepreneur is just to solve problems, right? So if you identify this as a problem, you've got to hack your brain and figure out whatever it is. Maybe for some of you, you're gonna have to go get an office, right? Or go get some like space where people can't get to you. All right.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, what do you got, Gabe?
No worries. Yeah, no, I know you said you want to cover some stuff, but this is something I'm super passionate about. And, I think none of us are going to move forward if we don't have clarity. I think a lot of times we procrastinate or we're distracted because we're not clear on what we should be doing. I think you bring up a really great point, Patrick, in that now there's so many things coming at us, so many people telling you what you should do, what you could do. That it's very easy to be, and then just, you have the noise of being at home too. It's going to be easy to be distracted. When we had our wedding photography business, ran that for almost 10 years. One of the things I would always coach my clients on, our brides and grooms that were planning their weddings, I would say, hey, like, you're going to have everybody and their mother, like literally mother-in-law, father-in-law, like telling you what you should do for your wedding, like where you're going to spend your money, who you're going to invite, what you need to do. This magazine, that blog, everyone's going to be telling you what you should do. So my encouragement was always, hey, get together as a couple and figure out like what you value, what's important for you on that wedding day. It will make it a whole lot easier to make decisions, so that, when it comes down and you're stressing out about like what the favors are going to be for all your people, and you're like, oh, That's right. We want our wedding to be about, you know, a time of celebration with our family. We want to have a freaking awesome barbecue and a party, and we want to spend time with the people that we love. It's like, okay, well, the favors don't really matter. Like, let's just make a decision and move on. Versus, no, we're trying to get our wedding in the Real Simple Wedding magazine. They only pick 10 weddings a year. The details have to be like on point. Like, okay, cool. Like maybe the details, maybe the favors do matter a little bit more there because you've got these other goals for it. So how do we make that practical in our businesses and what we do day to day working from home? One encouragement would be, and I guess I would kind of put the question back, Neil, like, do you, are you clear on what you should be doing? Do you know if you had no distractions, what the most important thing for you to do today is, or are you unclear on that?
Yeah,
you might be muted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. Is like, first
Right.
You're going to need a path, right? You're going to need a path, and you're going to have to, like, how do you create a beeline once you've decided what the end goal is? How do you create a beeline to that goal, right? You know, Gabe, you and we've talked about the 25-minute thing. I can't remember what it's
Yeah, the
called.
Pomodoro
Pomodoro.
technique.
Yeah,
Yep.
So I know that both of us are big proponents of the Pomodoro. So that's, you work 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, right?
Yep.
So you declare before your 25-minute period starts what you are going to accomplish, right?
Yep.
And you need to evaluate it. When you're wrong, why are you wrong? Make your future ones more accurate, right? And this, reaching that goal, you know when you're like and you're going through high school and college and you've got an exam coming up and you decide that you're going to procrastinate and you don't study for the exam, and then you finally, it's almost like too late. It's just barely not too late. And you kind of trim all the fat and you go right into this mode where it's like, let me get rid of this nonsense and just focus on what I can. How can I get the most bang for your buck? So if you can get yourself into that mental state where it's like, hey, I need to get this done and I have 25 minutes. Like, you want to almost feel like during that 25-minute period that there's pressure, but it's not just something that can apply to that 25-minute period. It's like, how do we hack our brain so that we're always kind of in that crash exam study phase? You know, if you've got like 6 months to build a website, a lot of times it's going to take 6 months to build a website, right? But if you can say, hey, my deadline is on this day, right? Then you can, like, actually hold yourself accountable like you're going to get in trouble for it. Imagine the person in your life, or maybe the person from the past in your life who you would, most not want to disappoint. Like, who is that? That's the person that you've made this agreement to. This is at some level, and I just sent a message to one of my developers. He was supposed to have the next version of the mobile app for iOS on Tuesday, and I haven't received it yet. It's Wednesday, and I sent him a message and I said, look, let's agree to have integrity with each other. This is an integrity thing at some point where it's like, he had told me this, right? And it's not going pushed out to you guys yet, but when it's a 2-day delay, it's a 2-day delay on the end too, right? So I'm upset about it. And I would have much rather him say, hey, I'm going to get to you on Thursday, than have him tell me it's going to be on Tuesday and then get pushed back to Thursday. And I haven't heard from him, right? So this is an integrity thing. And I think, integrity it's a slippery slope. And when you start to kind of justify in your head, while it's okay to, like, what's okay because of this, that I do this, right? If you make a commitment to yourself, then maybe it's not okay that you miss that commitment. Right now, stuff's going to happen. We all have that, right? So at times you're going to have to kind of like renegotiate, but I think that should come with something. If I tell Neil I'm going to meet him for lunch at 11:30 and I show up at 11:45, it needs to look like this. Hey, Neil, I'm sorry that I'm late for lunch. I know that your time's important in the future. I'm going to make sure and do my best not to let this happen again. And I'm going to buy you lunch. So it needs to come from somewhere and not just be this like, okay, this is okay. And then it's okay. And then, a year goes by and you're nowhere near your goal because you justified why it's okay to miss these deadlines on a daily basis all the time. And another thing that happens is when you let yourself slide on this stuff and then you go and you say you're gonna, like, you get in your head, you say you're gonna go and accomplish something, like at some point you're not gonna believe your own words, because you know that there's like almost like a parachute where you're not really committed, right? But when you start holding yourself accountable on this level, then it's a game changer, right? And here's the key is like maybe start out with not making so many promises. Just make the promises that you keep, and whichever ones you make, you're going to keep them 100%, right? Be committed to it. Like, if I don't do this, then, there's this massive penalty for it. I think it's, for me, it was a huge turning point. And, it can be annoying to my wife and to be like such a stickler with this, but I'm aware of the slippery slope. And I don't want to fall into that habit, right? And since I've made this change, I'll tell you, my personal life has improved and my business has improved. And it's just, I think that you're gonna kind of attract what you put out, right? If you live your life with integrity, and if you kind of hold yourself to this stuff, people are going to kind of reciprocate that back to you. They're going to understand like what you're coming with. Like you're the one that's always on time, right? Or, it's not just about being on time. It's all these little things, right? So it's something I'm really passionate about, obviously. So Gabe is our surprise guest. My plan was foiled within 3 minutes. I was going to bring Gabe on at the end and kind of go over some things. So a few guidelines, like Gabe is going to, obviously he's going to be, helping us out with this presenting stuff tonight. A few things, like we're not going to talk about why, Gabe decided to leave JK. That's kind of off the table. That's his own personal life, his own personal decision. So we're not going to talk about why he made that decision, right? Okay. So next thing, we're not going to talk about snaps. This isn't a snap support section. He's no longer involved with the product as he left JK. So as many of you know, that is not a product. Although we have the implementation for it within Lead Generated, it's not something that I'm providing support in any other way than as to try to help you guys make the connection. So just a couple of those guidelines. Over the last month or so, this call has changed quite a bit. Our group has really picked up a lot of momentum. We've got new people joining the Lead Generated platform, right? And coming from, I'm not gonna say the name, but coming from a group where like censorship and kind of controlling the narrative was like a very important thing. I tried to build this group in a way that was going to be more open, but it's kind of come at a cost where sometimes on this call, things go off in a direction that I didn't really have planned, which can be good and bad. But moving forward, just some general housekeeping. I think we're going to have to start going with like the hand raising, right? So that we can keep the call organized and structured. And I want to make sure that when you guys are contributing, let's make that contribution related towards this business model, right? Towards the Lead Generated platform. I think as time goes on, we're going to move this more towards like product support and maybe have like the coaching in a different area. Okay. A different group. Okay. So for now, we haven't made that change, but I just want to like kind of get things under control here a little bit. I think the casual nature of this call has been great because I think it's given people a place where they really feel comfortable. And that was my goal. But in effort to kind of deliver the highest value, I'm just going to put a little bit more structure in place, not only here, but kind of within the Facebook group as well. So, and I appreciate all you guys. This isn't directed at any one person or a group of people. This is just kind of like, I've noticed I'm somebody who is constantly focused on improving efficiency, like what we can do. And, some of these calls have gone 2.5 hours. We have it scheduled and slated for 1 hour, right? So I know that it's kind of like, I'm never going to shut it off when there's value because, for me, I know that this is having a big impact on you guys. And to be in a position where I'm having a positive impact on people is a fabulous use of my time. I got like, what could I be doing that's more important? So I don't want to cut it off like that, but I am committed towards a lot of other things in my life, as well as like improving this product, meeting with our developers every night, at like 11 o'clock at night. I've got developers coming on that are working on the CRM. So it's kind of tough when we don't have a long break between there. And this like, all the respect in the world to the people that have run these calls for years and years, because I can see how exhausting it can be, right? To kind of be here and create content for an hour or two straight where you're predominantly the person talking. So it can be something that's kind of tiring. Okay, so let's start our call. We're a few minutes in, but let's start our call with some wins. I want to start off with the positive stuff. So if you've got a win, raise your hand. Let's hear about it. Let's hear the moves that you guys are making. And like I said, when you speak to a CEO of a company, you're kind of you don't have time for all this like, hey, well, I was like in the car wash and like all this, like you got to kind of like trim it down, right? So I'd like to just run it a little bit, like I want the casual nature to stay to some extent, but I want it to be a little bit more business-like. So that way we can make sure that we're covering more ground and kind of like hitting our targets, right? So it looks like my man Devon in Las Vegas. What's up, brother? You got a win for us?
Yeah, got a couple last week. I posted one in the group. It was literally right after last week's call where I had sent over a screencast to someone for SEO in a bigger town for the favorite niche of junk removal, and immediately they were throwing prices at me wanting to pay. So it just turned the negotiation to figuring out, what works best, what's the best way for them to give me their money. From there, I got another client earlier this week too, out in central Iowa, who wants me to build him 4 different lead gen sites all in the same area for some different services. And so because of that, I got to go back to your old videos, and I'm now looking to bring on another content writer. I'll be interviewing him this weekend. So.
Very cool, man. Sorry, I muted myself. There's a little rain going on here. I like talking to the muted microphone. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Devon, just real quick.
Yes.
What's working for you? The screencast is working for you. What does that look like? Any other tidbits you can throw at us?
They're from referrals. It was just the months and months of investing offers up front, and a lesson I had learned a few months back that not every currency has to revolve around $1. If I decide to build you a site and what I get out of it maybe isn't the money, but it's you making the commitment to post about how great your site is performing. And that's really become the way to that I've brought in a lot of leads. It's a much more system. I've created a system to know where my next lead is going to come from. I'd say is the biggest thing.
Awesome. So part of that system just really comes down to building a relationship with your current clients, right? And not just like setting it and forgetting it and never speaking to them.
Shiv hit the nail on the head a couple of weeks ago where he said, I always want to go to sleep as if I'm feeling a little underpaid for what I'm providing.
Yeah, I like that. We kind of have that same philosophy in our agency where I never want to redline one of our clients, right? It's just exactly. Like, that's not a comfortable spot for them to be.
Yeah, and the things that you've talked about on previous calls that people can find in that repository Jeff has, because that thing is amazing. Yeah, just making sure everyone understands the expectations in the beginning that you're going to be invoicing at the first of the month, but you're willing to prorate and accommodate to that you're willing to stagger up the monthly payments so it's not just such a massive hit in the wallet in the beginning.
Right.
Implementing a lot of little things like that has really helped.
These are our fellow humans, right? And we're going to make our money over the long run. So we don't need to like get them there instantly, right? We can work their way into it. How can we make a deal where we can ramp them up to it over time and get them in there? Because ideally, if we're sending them business and our lead quality, because it's the organic nature of our leads is going to be very high, then give them some time to make some money, right? Let them adjust and grow their business. And then we can kind of like make it kind of more fair over time, right? Like it doesn't always have to be like, hey, you know what? This is worth $2,000 a month and I'm not taking $19.99 for 1 month because it's worth $2,000 and I'm not going to be underpaid. That's like, these are our fellow humans. They've got families and businesses and they're trying to do their best to make things work. And if you can just show some empathy and some compassion for their situation, it's going to build trust and loyalty. And with that, I'll tell you that the referral for our business has just been lights out for so long. Like I don't know when the last time we have some sites that are that we don't have clients for, right? But so we do outreach for those. But for like, just like trying to find a new client in some random new niche, I can't remember the last, it's probably been 2 years since we've done that, where it's just, we have referrals coming in all the time, and it keeps us so busy. And like Devon says, like, it's so easy to close a referral. Like it's unbelievable. You know, it's like, hey, so-and-so said that you blew up their business and you're a great guy, and he really trusts you. He really likes you. He appreciates everything you're doing. And I trust this person. What do you have to do to not get that sale? Hang up on him? Tell him, like, sorry, like it's a no, you don't have to be a good salesman for that to happen, right? So, Jeff, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I would say there's still a little bit of sales skill in there, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
Don't take anything away from you.
they're layups. I have to admit, they're layups, you know, most of them. But more it's in the client management for me, is really like understanding where they're at and giving them the kind of leeway that they need to get them in the mix, get them started, get them through the first sales cycle, get some money in their pocket. Like, we're always trying to put money in their pocket first, right? And so I think where I really shine is being able to dig in with those clients and build that kind of trust where they know I'm in it for them and not just to collect the money, like Patrick said, like right out of the gate. I know it's worth $2,000, but I might take 500 the first month or 750 the first month or whatever. And like we've talked about a couple of times before, stair stepping them in, because that's what makes more sense from a business standpoint and their, accounts payable and all of that. So I think that's really what it's all about. I mean, we're getting referrals all the time, and some of them blow out. They're not all good referrals either. I mean, some of them, they come in and they're totally sold on us, but they can't come up with that first, payment. Like we're saying, like that we're charging that startup cost. And that's our model now, but they can't come up with it. And I've had a few of them over the past 60, 90 days say, oh yeah, I'm waiting for a big job to close, and then I'm gonna give you the money, and they never come back around. And I text them, and sometimes they string me along, and they're like, just keep texting me, and I'll get there. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, we're in it for the long term, because you get that client, you get them in, you get them to start paying every month, and then it is that golden handcuffs where they do continue as clients. But getting them to that point can be a lot of effort and work along the way, even if they're a referral, because they may just not be in that position where they can just hand over that kind of cash. So
Right. Yeah.
Every client's different.
Most of us have been in that situation at some point. Maybe some of you guys, when you first took on your first coaching program related to this business model, you maybe it was tough. Like maybe money was funny when you were first getting started, and it took you some time to get up to speed. So I just ask you guys, I think it's going to make you a lot better salesman if you can have some compassion and empathy for these people while making sure you don't get exploited. It's a balance there. So let's hear it. Who else has some wins? We've heard from Devon. We've had 7 days. I want to see some hands going up. Who else has some wins? It doesn't have to be, hey, I closed 3 or 4 clients. Who took some steps in the last 7 days that is moving their business forward? Let's kind of have some rapid fire of what you guys did to kind of move things forward. If you don't have a win, then you need to evaluate why you don't. And like, you need to hold yourself responsible for that. So like I said, throw up your hands and we'll call. Yeah,
I have one.
But okay, Sarah.
It's Sarah. And I have sound on 2 things. Hold on.
Okay.
Now can you hear me?
We have somebody, Adam Stone is sharing.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
My win is turned down a deal of an e-com site build and commission-based lead gen for ads for Apple Repair. Had previously offered SEO possible lead gen sites. Commission-only deal was a turnoff until it's proven. So he's saying it would be interested in perspectives, but we're just sharing wins. So turn down a deal. Sometimes that's a win. You turn them down and because they're just not good deals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you need to be able to kind of see the future with some of these, and you can foresee a project is going to waste your time. Like that's certainly a win, because that's going to take money out of your pocket long term, right? Yeah. So I think that's important skill set to get. So Jarrett, what's up, brother? You got a win for us? Jarrett's got to win every week, man.
No, well, I mean, look, I got a couple referrals from a towing client. So like I went ahead and pitched a towing client. I'm waiting to hear back from him. Easy win. Just basically wants to do business. So that's great. Same thing. Doing the same thing with Devon. Me and Devon are in that kind of same niche. Really, I kind of took a step back. I had my best month last month, right? So I broke 20K last month. So that's really good, but it also, you know, I'm taking a step back and really reevaluating. I have a lot of money on the table. And so like yesterday, day before yesterday, started focusing on those ones that are right there. And just trying to get to that point where I know I should be. Like if I have 60 sites, you know, then how many should I have rented, right? You know, I mean, should I be at 50%? Should I be at 40%? And I'm not at that number I want to be at. So
Yeah.
kind of slowing the build process down, although opportunities continue to present themselves. So I'm not out there hunting for that mystery niche, you know what I mean? Unless it presents itself. So like I was, you know, I brought in another contractor. He does something very specific. So we're going to build a lead gen out for him, right? We're going to charge him a flat rate, build out the lead gen. And look, when it starts bringing in leads, it starts bringing in leads. I'm not going to do the go fast, look sexy. I'm not going to do ads. I'm going to charge him to, you know, $750. I'm going to build out the lead gen. He's going to get me addresses. And when it starts bringing in leads, then we're going to talk money. But
That's
that's
I love that business model, man. It's the
no
same.
stress on me. It's like, hey, when it starts happening, it's happening, and they're not blowing my phone up.
Right.
Like, hey, when it's going to happen, right?
Right. They're not sweating you nonstop because
Exactly.
they've got a little bit of money in the game, so you know they're serious. I love that, man. Congrats, Jarrett. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep these things moving really quickly. Always a pleasure. Thank you for sharing, Jarrett. Let's go over to Tia.
Real quick, quick one. Omar in the Facebook chat got a SEO deal off the BNI chapter. So congratulations on that, Omar.
Excellent, man. Congrats on that, Omar. You know, BNI is certainly, we've seen a lot of people had success with that. So let's keep it moving because there's a lot of stuff I want to cover today. So let's hit Tia real quick. And then I think Sarah's got her hand up again, got maybe the audio stuff is. So we'll go Tia, then Sarah.
Thank you. I actually sold the first lead gen that I made. I made it for my partner who was delivering the service, and then she moved and can't deliver the service anymore. So I found a person to take the leads on Friday and sent her first lead today.
Excellent. That's awesome. So congrats. That's always a great feeling to kind of get one of those tied in there like that. So what a great way to start the holiday weekend, right? With the plan, and now you got a new client, and you know it's always a sigh of relief when that first lead comes in, and you know you hear that first appointment be booked. It's just like, okay, this is what it was about, right? This is what I was going for, and to kind of like finally see it happen it just feels amazing. Cool. So congrats on that, Tia.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, what's up? You get your audio stuff
Okay.
figured out here?
Yeah. Okay. So I was away for a few days in Asheville and ordered Italian food. This is a GMB restaurant kind of thing. So online, the restaurant was open till 11. I went at 10, a few minutes after 10, I got in my car to get the directions to go. And Google Maps said, sorry, the restaurant's closed. So I called the restaurant. They were still open. I got there and they said they were still open. I said, you guys got to get your Google My Business thing fixed because I almost didn't show up tonight.
Right.
And they said, what's up? And I said, well, this is what happened. You say 11, your website says 11, Google Maps says only 10. And so they said, oh crap, we've been having problems with our website, with our menu. And I said, I know how to fix it. And they said, did you? So the guy's like, let me get the owner. So we brought the owner over. She knows how to fix our website. She knows how to fix the Google My Business. So I'm going to meet with them this week.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a creative way to do it. Going off what Sarah said here, one of the prospecting strategies that I used to use is, if you just do Google searches in your area for different terms like roofing, and pay attention to the ads. And it's not going to take you too long before you find an ad that is kind of targeting the wrong area. Like for instance, I'm in Dayton, Ohio. I search for roofing, and I'm getting a Google ad that says roofing company in Jacksonville, Florida for the last like 30 years, right? So they've got a problem. It's very similar, where look for an issue that a person is having, get your foot in the door, and it's a way to get in. So that being said, I'm all on board with what Jarrett was talking about, where I really like having the stuff in place and the leads coming in, because, it's good to get your foot in the door and build this relationship. But what I've learned is when the money really starts to come in, and when I really start to like have money that I'm putting away from the lead gen is actually like profit, is when I've got a ranking site that's producing leads. And building that relationship before that happens is great, but it's not going to put money in your pocket until you have something that can go. And I've been over the last week, I've been hitting the books hard and studying a lot of things. And one of the things that I've been going through was talking about problems. And it really hit home with this learning lesson, where it's like solving sophisticated problems. That was like one of the lessons, is like, look, if you've got the example the guy used is like, if you've got, so the lawn guy doesn't show up to cut the grass, like how easy is it to replace this person, right? There's a million people that mow the grass. So but if you had a brain tumor in a certain part of your brain, finding the brain surgeon that specializes in that like lobe and that type of tumor is a very sophisticated problem. And I encourage all of you guys to kind of solve sophisticated problems. So getting leads to come for people is a sophisticated problem, right? That's something that's going to be hard to replace. And while like fixing the hours on somebody's GMB or the location on their Google ads is a great way to create a relationship, it's not a sophisticated problem. Maybe it's sophisticated for them, but like we didn't learn all these skills to like do the minimum common denominator. And if you find yourself doing a lot of things like making logos and like building websites and all these different things, like I personally think you're solving the wrong problem for people. You're solving a problem where you're going to be replaceable. And I think this is part of why like freelancers may have an issue, is like, you need to be more sophisticated, solve problems that are creating more pain. So let's.
If something falls into your lap, you have to take it.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I'm not saying against that, but I just think like,
I totally agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that like I wasn't planning on prospecting the pizza restaurant, and I wouldn't normally go to a restaurant anyway, because it's harder to track who came from your lead gen site, right? If it was a restaurant. So
right.
I wouldn't be normally pursuing them, but the GMV, like it didn't match. So, and I can fix it. Yeah.
I'm the same way, and I'm always looking for that opportunity, but I just think I'm not advocating that like, hey, go and do this. What I'm advocating is like if you have less than 25 sites, then be building towards that 25 site. If you have less than like 60% of those rented, then focus on doing what you need to do so that you can rent these sites, because that's where the money is. That's the sophisticated problem with this business model, is creating leads for people who don't know how to create it. And that's worth a lot more. And it's going to be something that is going to be hard for people to replicate. Like if you're competing against other people that do logos, like I can watch YouTube videos and figure out how to do logos, even if I don't have that skill set. So like be moving towards a sophisticated problem. And over time, you guys need to be changing your game plan. Like if you follow like how much has everything changed in the world, right? Everything is constantly changing. So what you should be doing should be changing as well, right? Like you start out with a basic blueprint of like, hey, here's how I'm going to rank a lead gen, but over time you should be leveling this up constantly. And I see somebody jumped off and said they had to go like to like a GMB course. That's the kind of things that you need to be doing. This type of information is all over the internet, right? It's not limited to like one Facebook group. It's everywhere. It's not limited to my group or any other group. It's like there's tons of stuff that I don't know and I can't teach you. So go find it on your own and like continue to level up, right? Get as much as you can from the different groups that you're in. But I just think it's very important, and that's kind of what Jeff and I are doing, right? Jeff and I are going to a mastermind. We're in there, we're studying stuff. We're looking for stuff outside of where it's easy to find it, right? Okay, so anybody else have any other wins? Just thank you for sharing that, Sarah. Anyone else have any other wins to share with us?
I'm not seeing anything in Facebook, Patrick.
Okay, cool. Let's jump in. So many of you guys have seen that we're having an issue with our heat map right now. Okay, so I really believe we're going to have this fixed probably in the next like 12 to 18 hours. So I'm not quite sure. You guys may or may not know this, but there's updates that hit the system almost every day except for Sundays. So almost every single day of the week things are hitting the system. So I'm not 100% sure what's causing this yet, but I have several developers working on it. So I think we should have this resolved here really soon. I'm going to talk to you guys about a concept that I've covered this a few times, but for whatever reason, I think it's not entirely clear. Okay, so each week I'm going to shift the focus a little bit more towards lead generated, the platform that we're here for. Okay, so I know there is a lot of updates coming here, and I want to make sure that these are in front of you guys. This is kind of what you paid for. So let's share my screen here real quick, and let's go over some of this. Let's go over. I've got one topic that I really want to cover. Okay, so I was dealing with somehow this Zoom decided to switch windows. Give me 1 second here. All right, so I was working with my good buddy Harry over the week, and he has a situation where one of his clients, he gets a kind of referral fee. Okay, and here's the problem: is he wasn't sure what he wasn't sure how to, like, he's got a list of leads, and some of these have closed and some of these haven't closed, and he needs to track things that are not provided by default with the system. So if you know how this is possible in lead generated, I'd love for you to raise your hand and tell me what is the process if you want to create your own tracking and your own filtering. Who knows how to do that on this call? Just raise your hand if you know how to do it. I know that I've kind of walked a few of you guys. Maybe my question is not even clear. We got Dave Stowers. Dave, tell me how you do this. You're muted, maybe. Ask to unmute. You should get a little pop-up. There we go.
There he goes.
Zapier.
Zapier is one way to do it, but it's not the answer I'm looking for. And Harry, I know you know the answer. Okay, so let's dive into it. So here's how you can do it. You guys can, Dave, throw me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Or anyone. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So
Well, we see your screen, but it's full of all the individuals that are actually in the Zoom call.
Screen. Okay. All right. I shared the wrong screen. Let me drag this thing over here. Hang on 1 second. There we go. All right. All right. There we go. All right. So the way that you're going to accomplish this is with this website forms. So I think the minimal amount of questions that we receive on website forms lets me know that we have a problem, not maybe with the training in our system, or maybe with the way things are presented. So this is a very important part of the entire system. Okay, so the website forms are where you can go and you can make whatever fields you want. So in Harry's situation, what we did is Jeff, did you kill that? Okay, cool. All right, so what we did is we came in and just so everybody knows, the website forms have multiple functions. One of them is kind of to create a form for your website if you're using the embedded forms. If you're not using the embedded forms, you're using like our WordPress plugin and stuff gets pulled in here right away. It's kind of the field, excuse me, the fields that you have that are associated with the company. So if I have a plumbing client and I have a tree client, maybe I want to have different fields associated with each one. And that's kind of what this form is. It's a bridge between the data that you're pulling in from your website and our system. How do you want to organize it? Okay, so I'm going to open up a second screen here. And hopefully after this little presentation, you guys are going to realize the power that this gives you. So, okay, so on the all lead screen, we have all these different columns here, right? So where do these columns come from? The answer is whenever you create a field on a form, it can be one of these columns, and it's up here too, right? Each one of all the columns that I've created are on this list. So what this means is I can make whatever fields I want. So for instance, with Harry, he was having the issue that he didn't know what was sold and what wasn't sold and he needed a good way to track that stuff. Okay, so here's what you could do is you could go over here. So I have this general leads template. This comes with all of your guys' accounts, but you can make as many of these forms as you want. So there's a relationship between the form and your website. Okay, so if I come in here, this is kind of our form builder. If you guys haven't seen it, we have a lot of documentation on this that you can access through this question mark up here, as well as the getting started section. We'll go over and cover this stuff. Okay, the left side is the forms, the fields that are in our form. This gear icon represents a predefined field, and this like pencil icon here represents a custom field. So there is no field for sold status, right? But I can make as many custom fields as I want and assign them to whatever form I want. Okay, so I'm going to make a new field. I'm going to go through the same process that I did with Harry. So what Harry had is we created a select box. So select box, a drop down box, and I'm going to call this like sold status maybe. Okay. And I'm going to have one label that says sold, and I'm going to have another label that says unsold. Okay. So I'm going to click on save, and that's going to create the field. And you can see it's down here at the bottom. I'm going to add this to my form. So now it's on this form. I can drag this thing wherever I want. Order doesn't really matter. Okay. So let's click on this. I'm going to save this. So I've got this saved now. Okay. So if I go back to this all leads area here, all of a sudden we're going to have this sold status column in here. You can see it's right here, sold status. So I can add it in here. Okay. So this is the power of this system is you guys, you don't have to set things up the way that we set them up in our agency with the, like, you can use whatever fields you want. You can see that I have sold status here. I don't have anything in this, but it's now a column here. So that means it can be filtered and sorted and all this stuff. If I come up here into this advanced search, I could search by things that have the sold status, right? So let's just do one real quick. I'm gonna take one of these leads here, and I'm gonna mark this one as sold. Hopefully it's sold status. Okay, so I can edit this by coming here, and I can say, okay, I'm gonna mark it as sold now. All right. So it's now sold. When I go back over onto the all leads screen, I can search by things that have a sold status. And these filters up here can be really powerful. So I know that this is like a little bit more techy than we've been focused on, but what this will give you is the ability to bend this system however you want, track it. This can be great if you're trying to track commission deals. You could have, whether it's closed, you could have a commission amount, and then you can export this stuff up through here, right? In the top right, we can export the leads table. It's going to apply to whatever's in here. Okay. So if I apply this sold status with sold, so I created this field and now I marked one of my leads, and you can see only one of my leads has this. So I can now track what is being sold. So this is a really powerful piece because it means that you can bend and shape the system however you want. Okay. I think because we don't get a lot of questions about this, my fear is that you guys are not aware of how this works. Okay. So you can make this CRM whatever you want it to be with this. Track it, create whatever fields, remove fields, all this stuff. Is this making sense to you guys? Do you have any questions about this? I'm not seeing anything.
Tia has a question. Go ahead, Tia.
Yes. How do you connect that to your site?
Okay, sure. So let's, I stopped sharing for 1 second. So now I've got both of these. Okay. I think I've got the right screen shared. Okay. So when you say, Tia, when you say, how do you connect this to your site? Explain a little bit more exactly what you're trying to accomplish.
So if I want to create the form in Lead Generated and then have that on my site, is that like, so that people fill out the form on my site and then the information goes into Lead Generated?
Right. So there's a few different questions here. What type of website are you using? Are you using like WordPress or Weebly, or what are you using?
Snaps.
Snaps. Okay, that's fine. So for you, then the embedded form is the solution for Snaps. Okay, or anything that's not like WordPress. Our WordPress plugin just makes things really easy to connect, and it's probably the best way for those of you that are running WordPress. For other sites, then the embedded form is the way. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things here. First, what I'm going to show is just, I'm going to open up the documentation, and I want to make sure people know that this is here. Okay, so if I go in here inside the lead management, there's a category here that says embed form. Okay, this is going to tell you exactly how to do what I'm about to show you. So we've got step-by-step guides, we've got videos. Another thing that would be important to watch if I went too fast today, and this is confusing, there's a document in here called website forms. Okay, so it's right here, website forms overview. The way our search works is I can just come in here and type in, right, and it will find whatever I'm looking for on the left side, and then I can go to website forms. So those are two resources that I think are going to be important for you, Tia, but I'm going to take you through this now. And if you guys have questions later on, there's additional information with screenshots, step-by-step guides, and a video. So you can kind of pause and go through this at a slower pace. As always, we're here to answer questions on this too. So I think that the website forms part is the most complicated part of the system. And the challenge from a development standpoint is how do we create something with a lot of functionality while still keeping it simple, right? That's what we've run into, is like, we're going to add in all these like features and things, but how do we make it simple? So the strategy that I've used is, well, let's make it work out of the gate. And then let's give you the like, as you kind of level up and you get more comfortable with this, you've got advanced features that you can customize this. Some of you guys are going to be more technical than others. And, you know, from the get-go, you're just going to understand this. And for those of you that don't feel intimidated or anything like that, it's like, this is the most complicated part of the system. Okay, so let's get into it now. So every company has a form. You cannot have a company in our system that without having a form. So if you haven't set one up, there's one that's automatically assigned. That's the general leads template. So you can add in whatever fields you want. Okay, so if I click on edit over here, we have a new version of our form builder that's about to come out. And that's going to look a lot more like a website form builder, where you can add in a ton of like custom themes and this type of stuff. For right now, this is what we have. Okay, so there are a few options here. Okay, so you see this person icon right here, Tia? If I click on this, it's going to bring this menu up. And there's an option here that says include an embedded form. So if this is on, like that is on, right? If it's on, then when I go to embed this form on my website, there's a little piece of code that you can get, and you just paste that piece of code wherever you want it on your website. So you'll go into like Weebly or Snaps or whatever website builder, Wix, whatever you're using, and you just paste that little piece of code, and it's going to take that form and put it exactly where you paste that code. Okay. So the way this works is that we can shut it on and off here, right? So if this is on, then it's going to be in there. And if it's not, it won't. Okay. So give me 1 second here. Let me show you this in action. I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to have to log into my awesome Weebly account here so that I can show this in action. So is this making sense, Tia?
Yeah, totally. I really appreciate this.
You are welcome. I know that you are not the only person that has this question. All right. Cool.
Another quick question, if you can weave it in, Patrick, where do you find the WordPress plugin? Is one question.
Yeah. So if you just, it's an approved plugin within WordPress. So if you just kind of go to add plugin, then it will be in there. Okay. I can actually log into a WordPress site and show you where that is as well. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm almost to where I need to be.
Okay.
All right, cool. I'm going to share my screen now, and we will go back into this real quick. So let's share this screen. All right, cool. All right, so inside Weebly, what you would do, and obviously it's going to be a little bit different for you, Tia, but I don't have access to that platform. So, but what you're going to do is you're going to come over here, and you can see we have this form here. Okay, so I think this might be an embedded form. I'm not sure, but what I can do is I can drop this. Where did it go? Hang on 1 second. I'm in some weird mode. I'm not a Weebly expert.
The bottom right under basic.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep. Okay. So I can drop this embed code here, right? And that is going to allow me to add in custom HTML. right here. So this is where I'll paste the script that I'm going to grab from Lead Generated real quick. So to get that script, we'll go back over here and we'll go to website for, oops, we'll go to here. Okay. So there's a few different spots. A lot of you guys have probably noticed that there are a lot of different ways you can do things within this platform. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. Okay. So if I go to embed form, I can choose my company. Okay. And it's going to let you know that, look, Google Ads is incorrectly identifying our form as malicious. And we've been working like crazy to try to get this resolved. We have not had success yet. So this is just letting you know, if you're running Google Ads, it's going to be a problem with this. If you're not running Google Ads, there's zero problems. Okay. So we're using this script on our own sites and we don't have any problems. Okay. Google's not penalizing it. It's just Google Ads. Okay. So I can copy this script and I can paste it back over here inside Weebly. Okay. And I'm going to go inside and I'm going to click on paste. Okay. So I'm going to click out of this and you are going to see it's just through in the middle of this existing form. It threw in my form. Okay. So that's what it looks like. I don't know. Okay, there we go. All right. So I've got name, phone, email, sold status. So obviously sold status is something we're going to use internally. That's not what I'm going to want on the form. So what can I do is I can go back over. First, I'm going to save this. Okay. And I'm going to go back over into Lead Generated. And I am going to turn off sold status. So it's no longer included in this form. Okay. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to save this. And when I go back over here to Weebly, assuming I chose the right company, you can see sold status is removed, right? So that kind of like happens like it's hot swappable. I didn't have to do anything to the script or load a different script. It's communicating with what's inside here. So using this, we can kind of like add whatever fields we want, right? And if we look at these custom fields, there's text fields and checkboxes and radio buttons and all kinds of different fields. Every field that you're used to dealing with, there's a way to upload files and dates. And so every field that you're used to dealing with is in here. And you can go through the website forms video, and that instruction will kind of teach you a little bit more about how this works. Like I said, we have a pretty big update coming with this. My developer, who is the specialist on this, has been getting pulled in different directions, and it's kind of caused us to keep delaying it. I'm going to share with you what is coming for this. It's going to make it a lot more like what you guys are used to with form builders inside of websites, and give you a lot of flexibility. Tia, do you understand the mechanics of how that works?
Totally. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Do you have any follow-up questions related to that?
Yes, I have one. One of the guys on my team wants to know, so when you go to some websites and you're like selecting a destination, a drop-down of all the possible destinations will come up. Or like all of the, like you start typing in like a city and then that auto fills. Is that an option in here?
That is an option. So, so there's a few different ways to do this. So we have the Google Maps autofill. Okay. If you use these fields, these are some of our predefined fields, then that will happen automatically. It's tying into Google Maps API. So it's like pulling in real-time data. All right. If you want your own, maybe it's not a city or whatever, you have this option right here that says autocomplete. Okay. So if I click on this, this is going to be the label. So like maybe it's going to be like city. Okay. And then if I want to go over here and say Dallas, and then I've got like Houston, and then I've got, we got Dayton, Ohio, of course. Right. So let's put in whatever. Okay. So I've got these different options. I've just made this field. I'm going to add this into this form. Okay. So here it is. I'm going to save this. Okay. I am going to, another spot that this shows up is when you go to add a new lead, right? So we can see, where did that thing go? City, right? And I can type in, as I type, you can see it's removing those other ones, right? That makes sense?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's the autocomplete field. That's what I was saying is like, we have all the fields that you're used to using, right? We've got some fancy ones like autocomplete right there. Okay, so any other follow-up questions, Tia?
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. This is the form builder that we are very close to releasing. Okay, so this is kind of our design for it. So completely different look, a lot of the same functionality. So you kind of have your predefined fields. You can add them here, right? If you hover over these, you're going to have the option to change things here. You can further change like the positioning, left, top, right. You can make sub labels. You can have some field settings here about whether this is visible to clients. So some of the stuff that's already in there, obviously we're not abandoning everything. We've got placeholder, we've got hover text, we've got a default value. We've got different validation options that you can include here. If you click over into like, is it not going to show it here? Oh, if you want to add in, I think we made a button. Hold on one second. Let's go back to, okay. So this is like an interactive mockup and it's not, it's not in real time. We have these form design options as well. Okay, so we're going to have different styles that you can use and different themes. So you can see a lot of the stuff that wasn't available. This is what we've been working on with this stuff. So making your forms look really pretty. And at some point, what I would really like to do is to start tracking, like we're going to be connecting with Google Analytics. And it would be, what I think would be super cool is if we can have some kind of like conversion rate for forms. Like this form has like a higher conversion rate than this form, right? So giving you guys that information, because if you think about it, let's say you've got a really low bounce rate on your website. So a really low bounce rate would be something like 90% or like, right? So most of the people that are, I'm sorry, a really low conversion, a really high conversion rate. That's what I'm going for. So let's say 10% of the people, that would be a really high conversion rate that come to your site are converting, right? So if you were able to improve that conversion rate by 50%, so now you're getting like 15% of the people are coming. It's almost like you're ranking for 50% more things by getting, so conversion is a very important thing. And I'm trying to think about how we can pull data and kind of leverage some of this stuff that we're building in to make you guys better at what you do automatically long-term. Okay, so that is kind of the lesson that I wanted to cover for today. Yep, go ahead, Jeff. You got a question?
Just to back up here because we got a little bit of a backup here. Esther's asking, any way to add the sold function to the call leads over form leads?
Esther, can you tell me what you mean by over? Call leads over form leads.
Well, I added that part because you were going over how to add the sold to the form leads, but for the call leads that are coming into the system, how do you tag them?
Yeah, so in our system, a lead is a lead, really, right? So if we were to go back over here and like a phone lead that is coming in, it's going into the all calls area. And I've had a lot of conversations with Harry about this, and unfortunately, I don't have any like sample data. Maybe if I change this to all time, we can get some calls in here. So what we have set up is as calls come in, we do.
So there's no way, what you're saying is however you have it set up, it's set up per company. It doesn't parse them out according to whether it's a form lead or a call lead at this point.
Yeah, you can absolutely tell what's a form lead versus a call lead. If that's the question, I'm in the wrong area. Okay, let me just open this up in case we need to come back over here. But on this all leads area here in the advanced search, let me go through and get rid of, I'm just going to reset this. Okay, so notice we have, it may not be added in here. So I'm going to go over here and there is a lead type filter this is one of our kind of like default fields, right? So within the lead type, I could just select phone call, right? And I could say, okay, these are the phone calls, right? Or I can select form submission, right? So I think does that sound like it's answering the right question, Jeff?
Yeah, I think she was just wanting to know how she could tag those. So I think it'd be the same process. You would just set it up, for forms or calls either way.
Right.
I've got something to add to this if it would be helpful, just coming from, I know, Patrick, you run a large agency. I came from a large digital marketing agency, and this stuff was so huge. So like what you're providing and the ability to basically filter whatever kind of reports that you want to see, going back to what we were talking about earlier in the conversation, having clarity of knowing, okay, how am I going to want to look at the data for maybe a site, for a client, for a company, whatever, is super important. So now, I mean, this is killer. You've got that ability, right, to obviously collect data from the client, but then you have these internal fields as well too. And my only encouragement, because I know a lot of you, if you're like me, you're probably going to want to go crazy with this and create all these like custom fields. And I've gone through so many like CRM cleanup projects with our old agency before, where I would just be, I would pause and think for a moment, like, all right, what's going to be valuable for me to look at? So like Jeff was mentioning, whether it's, call leads versus form leads, if it's commission or not.
Important, right, Patrick, when we're doing the campaigns, right? Because how you tag the leads is how they're going to funnel into the campaigns for follow-up, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is sort of
doing that thought up front is my only suggestion. Thinking like, okay, what's going to be most valuable to help my client make the most of these leads, and setting up as many fields as you need, but no more.
Yeah, exactly right. You don't want to, like Gabe speaking in a way that is directly from experience, right? There's a lot of wisdom in what he's saying here. Don't get yourself in the weeds over something that's not necessary. Get the data that's important, right? Find out, maybe say like, hey, this is what I need to know. And now how do I shape the system so that it provides me with that? And if you need to add stuff later on, but don't build like an overly complicated system to get you stuff that is not really going to move the dial in your business, right? You're going to have to kind of be disciplined with how you apply this stuff. With great power comes great responsibility, right? So,
but yeah, like on a commission type deal, it might be as simple as understanding what your client's kind of deal stages are. Maybe first they have to book a consult, then they have to provide an estimate, and then they have to, secure the close. And so maybe you have an internal field that matches those things, so you can kind of see what their pipeline is, or offer that to them as a service, but without getting too crazy into the weeds on all these other little things that you could track that you're not really going to extract value from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's I'm in 100% agreement, like almost always, with Gabe, and this is no exception. So
does your hidden fields question have anything to do with that? It's going to be muddy in the water over there with hidden fields and whatever.
No, yeah. I was curious actually if you guys support hidden fields. That has more to do with, when you're getting into driving traffic from different sources.
Yep.
That was kind of a big thing we would do if you're, if you're just ranking on Google and the search engines. It might be less important, but if then you start running Facebook ads, or you're running other kinds of campaigns, and you wanted to source kind of where those leads came from, I've used hidden fields in the past to kind of help track those sources and other things. So I wasn't sure, are you guys supporting hidden fields, or is that something that you might do in the future?
Yeah, so the answer is yes, we support hidden fields with the WordPress plugin. And it's a great idea to add that for the embed form. That's something that would be pretty simple for us to add. There's two different ways that you can kind of track the source. And another one is kind of using a URL variable. So that is another way that we can easily add that in. I think that's a great point that no one has requested. But as this system turns from like more and more towards a like from a lead generation tool into like a overall marketing, like Swiss Army knife, having this stuff, like what is our conversion rate with this source? This is some of the stuff that you guys need to know, right? We've been taught the basics, right? And we're never going to abandon the fundamentals, right? We don't, like Gabe was saying, we don't want to get too complicated, but there are pieces out there. And my plan is to start providing some training on some of these other pieces, but in a simplified way that we can take advantage of, where we're not going to get caught in the weeds, right? So I've mentioned that we're working towards a Google Analytics like integration, And I want to share with you what's coming because this is directly related to our current conversation, like lead source, right? So you can see this is another one of our mock-ups. I've got our developer working on this. I'm planning on getting like our testing started on Monday. So we're getting closer and closer with this. So we have things connecting, just like when you guys added Google My Business. Now you're going to be able to add your Google Analytics account. So you can see there's kind of a mapping that's happening. So kind of the process is going to look like this. You're going to authenticate Google Analytics, give them permission so that you can see this stuff inside Lead Generated. Once you do that, we can look at things on a company level and we can look at what our traffic looks like, what our bounce rate is. This is going to help you guys identify problems that exist. Okay. So as we go through this, we've got this kind of like dashboard over here. And my plan is I'm going to give you guys the ability to make custom dashboards. That's kind of down the road further. What I'm going to start out with is I'm going to build the dashboards that I know are going to provide a lot of value for you guys. So you guys don't have to get caught in the weeds about how to like set all this stuff up. Let me give you like 5, 6, 7 templates of dashboards, right? You can see like we've got traffic and conversions and bounce rate, average session time. So some of this stuff is going to, we've got keyword data in here, right? We've got organic bounce rate. You guys can start to look at this and start to identify problems. Like what if you're getting like traffic from Safari, but your website doesn't look good on Safari. So you notice that like, hey, my bounce rate on Safari is 100%. We've got a problem and a quick fix could result in more leads, right? And having this stuff kind of right in front of you. And I think as a group, if we can kind of move down the tracks with some of these Google Analytics skills, there are a number of really successful marketers who believe that Google Analytics is a cornerstone to kind of like successful business. We don't necessarily need to guess. A lot of us are guessing what's going on with our websites, right? Like, hey, my leads are down. Like, what if you're looking, maybe your traffic's not down, but your leads are down. That implies something, right? And having this data readily available in a spot where an alerts can start to happen. What if your traffic crashes and you get an alert from the system and then you're able to reverse engineer it before a client calls you? So this is I think this is really valuable stuff moving forward. And this is why I'm pushing for this. I think this is a underrepresented product. And along with this, we're going to be adding in Google Search Console data in here too. So I know it may not be clear as to how valuable this is, but in my mind, I think this is going to be a game changer for a lot of you guys long term. And it's not a super complicated implementation for us. So, we're working hard to get this in here with a lot of other pieces. Okay. Any questions, comments, or anything on this stuff before I hop off of it?
Everybody's loving it. Tia,
It's
did you
freaking
have
awesome.
a question?
What's up, Tia? You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
I had one more question about integrating the calls if you're not using call sling.
Yeah, so I would say Zapier is probably your go-to method on how you can do that right now. So like the same has been true. We're sticking with only the call sling integration right now, but we're also trying to make this product flexible, and I believe that Zapier supports it. So you may or may not be able to pull some of this stuff in there using that.
Awesome, thank you.
You are most welcome. All right. Any other questions, Jeff? Anything I'm missing?
That's all we have. People are loving these new features. I think it's going to be awesome too.
Cool.
We're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I know you wanted to hash it out with Gabe a little bit. So
yeah. So now we're gonna have some Gabe time. Gabe, I know you've kind of like chimed in. We're fortunate enough. Gabe is somebody that I really respect, and I know that you're making some big changes in your life, and I kind of foresee that Gabe could become, obviously it's up to Gabe. He could become more, maybe more visible within our group. We'll see if that works out for him over time. But Gabe, so one of the things that I want to talk to you is, like, you and I, we kind of share this passion for self-improvement and mentors and coaching. And, I think that's, there's kind of like, people seem to fall on one of two sides of the fence here, is to like how they feel about like self-improvement stuff. And I think that people that are in this group and are in, these other groups, more of them are going to be on the self-improvement side. And I mentioned this a little bit last week, and I saw that Devon had made a post like, who are you going to have to be to achieve what you want, right? And the difference, I think, comes in self-improvement. And there's a lot of different avenues that you can get. Now, I believe you right now, you have a coach, right? Can you speak to what that looks like and how this has helped you and what this has meant to you, like maybe over your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's great to be here. Sorry, the plan was the surprise was foiled, but I'm stoked to be here. Yeah, no, it's funny. Actually, I have a video I just recorded the other day. I haven't posted it yet, and probably something I'll post to my kind of Facebook wall about this idea that, hey, if you lost everything, if you had to start all over, what would you do? If you hit, I hit kind of a major reset personally. Fortunately, didn't lose everything, but if you had to do that, like what would you do? And I think one of the first things you should do is go out there and get a coach, get a mentorship. And it really made me kind of like think through what that even looks like and how you do that well. Because I agree with you. I think most of us that are on this call, watching the replay, whatever, are all about improving ourselves. I mean, you wouldn't be serving local businesses if you didn't care about helping people, if you didn't care about improving your own situation. I think of a lot of us speak the same language there, but we might be kind of like grasping at straws in terms of like, what does that actually look like? Do we read books? We jump on a call like here with, Lead Generated. We're learning from people that are ahead of us, like yourself, Patrick. And I started to realize like, oh, there's kind of like 3 levels of coaches. And I've kind of worked with different levels of coaches over the years. And literally, I think I only just figured this out, that you have those with the gray hair, right? They're like at the destination where you want to be. And fortunately, this coach that I had hired actually a couple of months ago is that kind of a coach. He has the family life that I want. He was raised 3 amazing daughters that have now gone off to college. He's built and sold multiple companies. One he sold to his employees, one he sold publicly. He's running another company now. He's obviously doing coaching as well. So this is a guy I'm like, okay, cool. He's kind of at the destination where I know I want to be. And in terms of like, who's the kind of person that I need to become? Like Devon had posted the other day, like, I know this guy, Kyle, is that guy. And so you have to, I think it's really important to have those kinds of coaches in your life. And you can get some of those too through books, through podcasts and things. I think once you get to a certain point, having someone that you can actually engage with. And it was not cheap. It was very expensive. It was expensive, but I can tell you it's been 100% worth it. And I know it will be. So there's those like with the gray hairs. Then there's like,
hey, Gabe, just 1 second. Like,
yeah.
I just want to point something out that I think really resonates with me. It's yes, it is very expensive, but like, it's almost more expensive not to have it if you choose the right one, right?
1,000,000%.
So like when you guys hear that and you hear that it's expensive, like think about what the other side of it looks like, right? How is it, if you guys are doing a great job, like we have a client in Dallas and we send him, he runs a multi-million-dollar company. 99% of his leads come from us. Like we charge him a lot of money. It would be really expensive for him not to have us, right? But if it was just, we're approaching some guy who's just getting started, it would be really expensive. Like our number looks big. And I want to make sure that is clear, right? You guys got to think about your opportunity cost. Like, yeah, it's going to cost you money. And if you are hiring a coach who wants $100 a month and they don't know you and they're not trying to hook you up, then there's a reason they're charging $100 a month. They're not in a position, they don't have the level of certainty necessary and the sophistication to solve the right problem. You need to be paying top dollar for top people. So I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I want to make sure that's clear.
No, so that's a great point, because you do have to be you have to look at it as an investment in yourself. And I know there's a handful of you that went through kind of some of the curriculum that I had put together, where I had you go through a kind of a series of questions. It was like video questions and you had to respond with some video answers, where we got pretty deep pretty quick on like maybe the pain that you had or the dream that you had that kind of inspired you to start your business, right? And I think really being crystal clear on what that is for yourself is going to be super important, because what that does is it takes investing into a coach away from being this thing like, oh, this is this expensive cost, to like, how do I compare that against the cost of inaction? If I don't do anything, I'm going to still have this pain that I'm not going to get to my destination. You know, all that. Then if you find the right person and you're really clear on where you're going, the decision becomes very easy. And so that was incredible. And I'll be honest, it was, I feel very lucky and fortunate, just like at the time of everything, when I hired this coach, that he was able to kind of like help me through, just like, all right, hey, here, let's again anchor in on where you're going and what does that mean about doing today? And honestly, for the last month, that's meant a lot of like rest and time with the family, which has been amazing. I went through this book, Living Forward by Michael Hyatt, and he talks all about putting together a life plan. Exactly what Devon was talking about, getting really clear on, hey, the kind of person that you want to become. And I'll be honest, there were some things that were really hard that like I worked out in putting together this, like, how do I want to be remembered? And there were areas where I was crushing it. And then there's areas where like, shoot, like, how would my 11-year-old son remember me right now? Like if I were to be gone tomorrow, and what do I need to change so that he's going to remember me the way I want to be remembered? So anyway, so you have these kind of like mentors, coaches that are like way out there, again, at the destination. Then I think you have those that are kind of like on the horizon. So these are people that you're like chasing. This might be, a Patrick, a Jeff, someone who's like, wow, you guys run an incredible agency. You've got a ton of sites. You've really kind of figured out this business model and know how to help businesses, and you're crushing it. But it's not like so far removed that like, I'm like, it's not even fathomable how it gets. It's like, okay, cool. Like I can see the steps. You're, 5 to 10 years ahead. And if I continue to like show up and do what Patrick does, in 5, 10 years, I should be where he's at. So I think that's important. And then lastly is kind of like the peer mentors. So those are the people that you're like in the trenches with, building, and maybe they're a little bit ahead of you, a little behind you. When we started our wedding photography business, that was huge, just getting really embedded in the culture, and not just wanting to hang out with the Patricks and Jeffs of the world, but like the people who were kind of in my same season. And honestly, I learned so much from those people. And what's great about that is usually it's more an investment into relationships and experiences and sharing ideas and things. And that's why, again, it's so important to show up here in the group and on these calls and to kind of like find your tribe. It's, Tia had shared something. I know like Tia and Devon, some of the other you who have these kind of like mastermind teams together are getting a lot of value out of that and having some major breakthrough because of the peer mentors. So I think, again, it's funny because I've had like bits and pieces of these different kinds of coaches over the years. And I literally didn't realize, I think, until like this week, where I'm like, oh shoot, like I have to have all of those kind of at all times, because usually I've only had one or two. I've always believed in coaching. I've always believed in mentorship. But I never realized how I could harness those three together. And I'm starting to see that come together now. And it's insane. Like, I just hired another coach, going to get to see you out in Nashville with kind of that crew. Right. And like, that's one of those where it's like, all right, here's the guy that's, 5, 10 years out. Like, all right, cool. Like that's different than Kyle, the guy with the gray hair that's like been through it all this, that has the whole life, the family, the whole
right.
nine.
So
you've kind of got different spots. Right. And I think it's really important that you guys realize that no matter who you're looking at, Elon Musk, they started small, right? All of these people have kind of gone through the progression. And when you choose people that are at different spots of this location, it can be encouraging to be going through. Like, there's a number of people that were kind of like at the same level when I was getting started, and going through things together was like, it made it easier. Like it was companionship. It was like, we're all kind of solving some of these problems, and then having people that were further down the line. One of the things that I've learned is you really need your mentors to kind of be where you want to be, right? Don't like if somebody's got part of the puzzle figured out, but you don't really like them or you don't want to model after them, like that may not be the right mentor for you, right? You want somebody that is like, hey, I really aspire to kind of be like this person, not only with their business success, but the way that they carry themselves and their attitude. It's important to select that type of person. Okay. I think that it can be, if you're gonna follow someone's advice, make sure that they're where you want to go. And Gabe and I were talking about this the other day. There's a couple different ways to define success, right? So Gabe, I'd love to hear just like 30 seconds from how do you define success? What does that mean to you? It's not finances, like that's not really a part of it, right?
No, yeah. For me, it's about relationships and experiences. I kind of broke it down. And again, going through this life plan, it was very eye-opening to see, honestly, what they have you do in the book too, is you go through kind of like these different accounts that you have in life, almost like a bank account. So my health is a bank account. Am I overdrawn? Do I have a surplus? My marriage is a bank account. One of the things that was surprising me is like my like self-care. To me, that's actually the most important account, which I'm like, I have a hard time with that because I'm like, it feels kind of like selfish and narcissistic. But then it comes back to that idea of like the classic, like, flying a plane. No, you got to put on your mask before you can help someone else. And again, that's why this season of rest was so important. But you can go down, through all these different life accounts. But for me, at the end of the day, it all comes down from like the most important account to the one at the bottom. They're all important. To me, it's it's relationships and experiences which for me, I'm wild at heart. I love to adventure. I love to go on adventures. I've gotten to do some of that over the last month, which has been awesome. I prefer doing that with people and kind of creating those memories. So whether it's with my kids, us getting to hang out in Nashville next week, like that's the kind of stuff that I love. It's like breaking bread and really kind of engaging with people over kind of meaningful work. And I'm definitely I'm not the like lay in a hammock with my laptop kind of guy, which I don't know whoever like decided that like laying in a hammock with a laptop was a good idea. Because if you're on a laptop in a hammock, like you did something wrong. I think you should just be laying in the hammock with other people. But sorry, that was way longer than 30 seconds, but yeah, hopefully that,
that was exactly what I was looking for is, one of the exercises in that book, I haven't read the book, but he's told me about the book and I've done this exercise before, is like, what would be said? Someday we're all going to die and then people are going to say stuff about us when we die. And those are going to be the people that should be the most important people in our lives. And I think where it really hit home for Gabe was when he started thinking about what his son would say. Like the son may say nice things about him, but they may not be the things that he wants. As like Gabe, my dad was a really hard worker. He tried to do everything that he could to provide for the family, but like maybe Gabe wants him to say like, my dad spent a lot of time with me and taught me like how to be outdoors and like, throw the baseball. I don't know. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I know based on our conversation that was kind of centered around it. So each of you guys have people like, maybe for you guys, it's your kids, or maybe, when I did it, I was thinking about my wife. I was like, what would my wife say? I don't want my wife to say that I built an awesome software. Like, great. Like that's not what I want to be said at my funeral. Right. What part of what I want her to say is like, hey, we bought this RV and we went on all these awesome adventures around the country. Right. And we got to see all these amazing things and have just like Gabe, for me, it's experiences and relationships. Those are the two most important things, creating amazing experiences. The reason that I've worked hard and my why is let me put myself in a financial situation where I can do whatever I want and not have to worry about like, I don't want to have to worry about finances. If I want to take like a private jet to France, like that sounds like a cool experience, right? I hate being on planes and being jammed in there. And if I can just like have traveling be better because of like, hey, I'm in a good financial situation, then that would be great. Serving others is another big part of it. Being in a better financial situation. Like, I have a buddy who he had a party for the 4th at his house, and him and another one of my close friends, they have always been in service of people their entire life. And one of them is a school teacher who he just does whatever he needs to do to help out everyone. And he's not like a wealthy person. He's got several kids and he lives in a nice house, but I've got this vision of like talking to his wife and like sending him on a little trip for his birthday. And while they're gone, installing a swimming pool in his backyard, right? So like having a massive impact, like having his kids right now, they pay and they like go to this other public. I know they love to swim. So it's like something that's very tailored for him. Like if I'm in a financial situation where I can kind of like have the impact on these people, that's a part of my why. So like,
Yeah.
I don't have like, you know, we owned 4 houses in Vegas as rental houses, and I was driving a car worth $1,200. Like, I don't care about the fancy stuff. What I want is I want the relationships and experiences. And if you care about the fancy stuff, I don't judge you for it. Everyone's got their own like barometer. This is just my personal ones. No judgment towards anybody else's. So you guys all define success in your own way. And I'm with Gabe, like creating relationships and like these amazing experiences. So do what you need to do within your business and make sure that it's headed towards this goal, because like we've all got that like kind of like, I can't remember what's called, the upside down clock. That's like the little stuff's draining out, right? That's going on for all of us, right? And it's getting smaller. We don't know how much is in there, but you need to make sure that you're creating things and you're doing things in a way. So when someone goes and talks at your funeral, which is going to come, they say the things that you want them to say because of how you lived your life, right? I think that's an important thing. And it's like, because it hasn't happened for any of us, we don't keep it in the front of our mind. And then, you know, there's a lot of old people with regrets, right? So let's not create those. Gabe, what do you have to add to that? Hourglass. That's right. Thanks.
Yeah, hourglass. That's what it is. Yeah. D Hutch with the win. You know, I want to be not only just remembered, but even now in the present day, I want people to think of me because of a couple things, what I did for them and what I represent. And, you know, it's been very encouraging. I've got a lot of messages from a lot of you guys and kind of sharing some of those things. And that's always helpful and encouraging when I'm on the right track. And I get that feedback daily too, from my kids, from my wife, from the people that I serve and work with in business, from peers. And I think you all on this call want that same thing too. It's like, you want people to think highly of you because of what you did for them and what you represent. And going back to the first question on the call that Neil had, like, how do I keep from being distracted? Like, if you're crystal clear on, no, like this is what I want to be remembered by, this is how I want people to think of me. Now let me literally just break that down to like, all right, what's the most important thing I can do today? And I've got this other tool that I use. It's it's just a day planner where I will take that life plan idea, I have it broken down to goals for the year. Like, hey, here's, 9-10 goals I want to hit for the year. I'll pick like 3 of those a quarter. So right now I have 3 goals I'm focused on, for the 90 days. I'll then literally break that down to what do I want to do this week? And I'll do that every single day too. So it's like, today's was, complete phase 1 of doing some of this kind of like content work that I'm working on. Thing 2 was recording a certain video. And then thing 3 was getting some time in conversation with my son, Lincoln. Like, those were the 3 things. If I did nothing else today, but those 3 things, today would be like a grand slam success. And then, you kind of do everything else in between. And if you get to it, great. If you don't, you don't. And that's where I think, if you tie this, because we can be ethereal and like optimistic about, what these kind of like grandiose ideas of how we want to be remembered and legacy and all that. But at the end of the day, like, it comes back to, what are you going to do today about it? And sometimes it's really hard to draw that through line from the, like, where do I want to be 50 years from now to like, what am I doing, for lunch today? Like, sometimes it's hard to do that, but if you can kind of slowly work it back. I'm a big reader. Another book that might be worth looking into that I've read probably a dozen times over the last 15, 20 years is a book called Today Matters by John Maxwell. John Maxwell, he talks about this idea of, I think there's maybe 10 or 12 decisions he talks about in that book, but he's like, these are like the 12 decisions I've made over my lifetime. He's like, I made, 4 of them in my teens. I made 5 in my 20s. I made 2 in my 30s. And he kind of walks through, starting with having a good attitude and like when he realized he needed to like show up every day with a good attitude and what that means for him today. So if any of you are struggling with, either like where you want to be or how do you do that today, like it's normal. Most of us do. And I would start with the end in mind, like, hey, where do you want to be? If you're crystal clear on that, try to start to chunk that down a little bit into like, okay, cool. If the most important thing for me is relationship and experiences, what are the kinds of relationships and experiences that I have? Well, I have that with my family. I have that with the people that I serve in business. So like what sort of how can I drive relationships deeper this week? How can I have better experiences or set up for better experiences, this week?
Yeah, absolutely. To add to that, I think with this business model, your work is never done, right?
Mhm.
There's always things that you can do, and you need to realize that, because it's very easy to sit down and not have a plan and just kind of do things with like no target, right? And at the end of the day, sometimes you can be left thinking like, what did I actually accomplish today? Because you're doing all this like miscellaneous stuff. And what Gabe is saying, where you've kind of got a plan here, you're going to go through and hit your checklist. This is good for sanity. Okay. And there's things that you should be doing outside of this. It's easy with this business model to kind of let yourself go physically. Okay. And when there's certain like concrete things that you're doing in your life. So for me, for instance, like as we age, it's important for us to stretch to kind of like have longevity. And there's been days where I've kind of like worked all day long and I'm like, what did I accomplish? And then when I do things like when I go jog and when I stretch and I work out, then it's like, those things are things that absolutely happened on the day. And there's like no way that those aren't going to be beneficial. Like this other stuff is kind of like this like ambiguous blob of like time that was spent if I didn't have like a checklist that I'm going through. So I think it's really important to kind of have a plan and then go after that plan and cross things off. Like, hey, this is what I want, done. And then you can kind of look through. And I think, spending a little time, like there's tons of research that shows the value of journaling at the end of the day and kind of saying like, hey, here, like, let me just get my thoughts out here. Spending a little time, kind of reading and like having this block of self-improvement, because if you realize that this business model, there's always something to do. I can always go and get another backlink or a citation or like, but if you have things that you're actually crossing off and that you're actually doing with your day, then I think it's going to be really, I think it's going to be great for your sanity, because you're moving forward in other parts of your life where doing all this miscellaneous stuff doesn't always make you feel like you're moving forward if you're not landing a new client and you don't have a big win to celebrate. So you got to understand that.
100%. Yeah. I would see too, like on like, most days are, I'm not hitting 100%. I know it's probably the same for the rest of you too. Maybe I'm the only one who's not perfect and not hitting the goals every single day.
Two of us.
If I am, I am. But if you're like me and you're not, one of the things my coach, is working with me on, he says, hey, okay, I want you to kind of start working on some of these rituals, whether it be a morning ritual or workday startup ritual. And it doesn't have to be this big, crazy, complex thing that takes 4 hours. But, let's figure out what are the key important things for you to do to kind of like prime your day. For me, that's, moving my body, it's drinking some water, it's hopping in the sauna, right? Like maybe it's those things, and it's, having 10 minutes of silence, whatever. But then he says, hey, pay attention to what gets in the way. So I think that's really important too. So like if you're setting up your plan that like, okay, hey, my plan is going to be to, maybe it's broken into kind of sales activities and admin and maybe like building activities, which is a lot of kind of what this business model entails, is those types of things. And you block out certain times for that, or you want to get a certain number of touches in, or you want to get so far on, content writing or backlinking or whatever, or working with your team, and you're not able to do that, being very, instead of just like beating yourself up, oh shoot, I didn't do it, I'm just going to move that to tomorrow now. Because we've all done that, right? Where it's like, I didn't get it done today, so I'm just gonna move it to tomorrow. I'm gonna keep moving it to tomorrow until I get it done. That's great. But like pay attention to like, okay, well, but why didn't I get it done today? What got in the way there. Cause now you're starting to kind of like optimize how you get work done and how you get more done in less time, which is what the aim is for all of us, so that we can enjoy relationships and experience and all that. Right. So like really focusing in on like, okay, what is off? Like for me, a case in point example, wanted to start my morning moving my body, hopping in the sauna and having 10 minutes of quiet time. Well, I started doing that, like around 7:30 in the morning or so. By the time I got in the sauna, dude, all my kids are up. They've been amped for like a couple of hours now, and they want to jump in the sauna with me, which is awesome. And I'm like, I want to spend time with them. And they get the same number of minutes as they are old, right? So like my 11-year-old gets 11 minutes, my 9-year-old gets 9 minutes, whatever. But it is not the quiet, restorative, like only minute, right? So I was, okay, if I'm going to want, maybe I want to change that and I want to use that as time with them. Or if I do want it in silence, I got to get up a lot earlier. So maybe I got to get up at like 6 instead and do that a little bit earlier in the day, right? So starting to kind of like test things like, okay, hey, and I could test both and see which one works for me and works better. And you can do the same thing in your work. So I would highly encourage you to set a plan before the day starts and then just notice what gets in the way. And don't make any judgments about it. Just notice it, because then you can start to kind of like tweak and play with it. And that's how you become a high performer.
I love that. Yeah. It's you're basically strategizing within your daily life plans, right? And just like we're strategizing on how we're going to beat a competitor or outrank this person or whatever, and like all this stuff, you should be applying it to yourself too. Like how do we hack ourselves? Where are our weaknesses? Where are our strengths? What works? What doesn't? And then making those adjustments. So look, we've been on here for an hour and 45 minutes. Gabe, thank you so much for contributing some of your valuable time to this call, man. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm looking forward to our adventures next week.
Yeah.
Out. Jeff, is there anything that you have to add? Any like lingering questions or anything to throw in there?
Not really. I concur on the relationships and experiences, Gabe, and looking forward to creating some of those next week with you. Personal development has been a massive part of my growth over the past decade, and it just doesn't stop. And I think once you get on that kind of track, the flywheel just keeps spinning you forward, and you want more and more and more. And that's what really motivates me to get up and do this, making that kind of impact on our clients and everything. It's not always 100% focused, like Gabe said, certainly not perfect, but I've created a lot of rituals and different things around my life, and I just continue to move forward, and it's amazing. This business model gives you so much freedom if you just get on the right side of it. So keep working. You're doing a great job. Keep getting those wins, and you'll be there before you know it.
Sounds great. Yeah, awesome. We lost Neil. Devon. Neil is down.
Neil's down.
He's
awesome.
in
Yeah, dude. Patrick,
he's in a deep visualization right now. All right. So you guys, as always, let's end this call on the right note. Let's take the action. For those of you guys that aren't sharing wins on a regular basis, let's take the action necessary to create the wins. I'm going to post in the group. Next week's call will not be at this time. Okay. So it's probably going to be on Monday or Tuesday. I'm trying to kind of organize with Jeff and maybe a couple other people that may be on the call. So I will post in the group on when that call is, but it absolutely is not going to be on the normal time, because we, like I said, our mastermind that we're in, we're going to be participating in that during next Wednesday. But so you may have less than 7 days, but if you're not doing the things that are necessary to create wins on the call, you need to look inside yourself and find out why and make a change, right? Because this, like, it's been the same thing for week in and week out, and some of you guys haven't created those. So you've lost the opportunity from the past. Don't lose it for the next 5, 6, 7 days, however long we have. Great call. Thanks again, Gabe. Always appreciate it. You guys have a great week. If there's anything you need, hit me up in the group, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot.
Much love.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night, guys.